the Behind the Line Show, Week 14, presented by Scores and Odds in partnership with RotoGrinders. As always, Ryan Reed at Dude Man Pa, coming off a good week as far as your picks. You even beat me in our show bets. So take your victory lap there, Ryan. Congratulations.
Let me spin. Victory lap is in. I'll take it. We finished 9-5 last week. We brought the record up to 112, 77, and 6 pushes. I'll take that every week. I love winning, and who doesn't? So what do we got for this week? Hopefully you bring another soft wager to the table, and I can go up a unit instead of just breaking even this time. How's that?
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to sweeten the pot. We're going to add a movie bet to it as well. So we're just going to have a good time. Not just American dollars potentially, but a movie bet, which is worth, you can't put a price on that. Very first game on the slate Thursday night. I don't have a strong take in this one. Maybe you do. My strong take is that I don't think I'm watching it. How about that? There's my strong take. The Raiders at the Rams. Rams home favorites, home dog. I'm sorry, getting 6.5 points. The total we're looking at 42.5 points. Baker Mayfield may play to some degree. John Wolford currently is a game time decisions. We don't know who's going to be starting quarterback tonight for the Rams, but they're probably not going to be great. They just found Mayfield, off the street a couple days ago. Do you have a take here? The Raiders at the Rams.
It's bad. The game is bad. It's Thursday night. I don't trust the total in this game. I have been taking the under on Thursday nights quite a bit. I know I've also mentioned recently over the last few weeks that one of my other things to focus on these island games is to take the team with the better running game. The Raiders are on a 3-0 win streak over the last few weeks, and it's all pride at this point, but that's okay. I'll take pride. Raiders Nation, go. The Rams, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody they can throw out. I don't know who they're going to throw out, and I don't think it really much matters. It's not like a comforting position, but I'm going to take the Raiders minus the 6.5 here after they ended up clearing it on Seattle last week. David Carr cried in a press conference, and now it's on. We're just going to win out for the rest of the season. Either way, the Rams are just depleted. They don't care. The season is over. They might as well just start looking forward. And the Raiders are going to play for a little bit of pride, and I'm all right with that. Jacobs is probably going to run all over this team. Not sure. The prop is like 85, 89. And they don't give up many rush yards, but I think a lot of those stats were previous games in the season, and I think it's about to start bleeding.
They're without Aaron Donald on the inside. I think two of their best inside players defensively are out. Anybody you've heard of on the Rams is probably not playing football for the Rams tonight. Again, we don't know about quarterback. They said there's a real chance that Baker Mayfield could play quarterback tonight, being in the organization for, 2 days, 3 days.
This is where we reference your tweet that I saw earlier. That was amazing, where you just tweeted out like 2 Nintendo plays from Tecmo Football. That was like run left, run right. And you were like, oh, he was able to memorize the playbook on the flight. Amazing. That's kind of how I feel. So that's why I'm with the Raiders.
What do they possibly give him as far as the playbook? And shout out to Josh Jacobs has been phenomenal this year. He's going in those free agencies and he's been questionable in several games, of late and just absolutely smashing. He was questionable going into this game, but a report earlier today, we're recording this on Thursday afternoon, if y'all are not aware, says that he's expected to play despite the fact he's got that quad and the calf. Biggest total on the board this week. Well, I should say in the main slate from a DFS perspective, there's probably a total that's bigger elsewhere, but 51.5 in a dome, Minnesota at Detroit. It's a big boy number for sure. This is a weird one. This is where I have to ask you, is this just like one goofy site? Because supposedly the Lions at home opened as a 2.5 point dog, and now they're a 1.5 point favorite. Did we really get 4 points of movement? I know yesterday on Wednesday it was 2.5. So this game's been all over the place as far as this line.
I'm glad you're highlighting this game. This is the game that I'm hoping you and I are on opposite sides of, so we can have another wager. Okay. I don't know what's happening with these numbers, and there's no way I'm not taking the Vikings plus points in this game. I don't care about Detroit and the covering at home. Vikings are just a better team, and I can't seem to find myself betting on the Lions to cover points at home.
They got heart, the Lions. You can't quantify that.
Yep, they sure do, much like the one from the Wizard of Oz, but I don't think it matters. My money doesn't follow my heart, that's for sure. I am a diehard Philadelphia fan, and learning, sometimes not betting with your own teams is a better way to go. Now it doesn't really matter. I don't care. who's in, who's out. I'm just going to take whatever's the positive EV and roll on. My team loses, it is what it is. At this point, I'm probably more excited about my futures wagers than I am about the day-to-day.
What's your biggest futures wager you have right now on the table?
The highest odds is probably Utah Jazz, which is working out just fine.
To do what? Like make the playoffs?
No, to win the title, but they're going to make the playoffs. That's easy. I also have that. Oh, you don't think so?
I mean, they're sputtering, and they're not very. They overachieved, but
making a note. Dean wants some Utah action. I did get him at like, I don't know, 3-1 to make the playoffs.
Oh, I like that. That's great. Okay. But
yeah, and I was like, hey, until you guys move this down to like 130 or 150, I'm just going to keep banging it. It's too high. Get under 200.
In the 6th spot for what it's worth, but I think they're 4 of their last 4 and 6 in their last 10. This is not a basketball podcast, but like, good Lord, I don't know if you saw how they won yesterday. It was a completely insane game against Golden State.
I do have the Vikings to win the Super Bowl too. I think that was 24-1, and that was like it was basically a free bet. I believe it was a FanDuel promo in August. $500, you get $50 back per win. It's already paid for itself, so I'm free rolling that.
Yeah, I don't mind that. And like, are you a hedger, or it depends? It's a case by case situation. Depends on what the odds are and yada yada. Like, how far along did to be in the playoffs to start hedging, or you're just like let it ride and that's it.
I do like to stack a bunch of teams walking in so I can carry a bunch of options to the playoffs, because I feel like that's the best time to start dishing is later in the season when you get massive jumps from NHL example. I have the Seattle Kraken at like 1,000-1 also to win the Stanley Cup. Well, anytime you're going to put a number out there, Dean, that's crooked, we just got to jump on it. I don't care. I'll sell it later. Shout out to PropSwap. Thank you.
Hey, you call the team the Kraken, I'm in. Yeah, they have pretty sweet uniforms as well. We didn't mention the total 51.5, but you're more talking about you just like the side. You like Minnesota.
It's too much. Like, I get it. It's the dome. It's these teams score a bunch against each other. Did you check out the game log from the previous matchup this year? I believe it was a 28-24 final with a last-minute touchdown scored by the Vikings. It was one of those where the graph goes up. Detroit's going to win. Detroit's going to win. Detroit's going to win, and then it just falls to the floor. I'm okay with that. That doesn't mean Detroit's going to win this time, and I'm not sure where everybody's coming from. But everything looks like it's really based off of just the previous meeting.
I know Detroit did not punt last week. That was against the Jags. Different story. I know what their home road splits are crazy, but also their home schedule's been pretty soft this year. And I also know like their first 4 games of the year, they average like 30 points. Like the 5 through 8, they average like 0. And then again, now in the last 3 or 4, they're back on as far as scoring points. They've had a weird season, Detroit.
So after all this, I do have a play for this game, but I'm not going to take either one of these numbers by themselves. I remember you asked about teasers just a week or so ago, and that's where we're going to go here. Let's take Minnesota plus 7.5 and combine that with the over 46.5. You can grab that at minus 110.
I like that bet, actually. I think that's pretty good. It feels like Minnesota's going to stay reasonably close, if not win this game outright, and it feels like it's going to be a shootout. I know there's also stats done, talk about, the rematch, second game and interdivisional. Like typically those scores are a little bit lower, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, there are exceptions to the rules. This one feels like an exception. I think it's shooting out to some degree. Jets, Bills. Are these teams meeting again for the second time? I don't know. You probably know.
I believe this is the second meeting for these two. I don't have a note on the first meeting, but
you got to like 10. Buffalo minus 10 at home, double digits versus the Jets, who are pretty feisty. 43.5 is the total. I'm gonna guess that. Look, you answer for yourself. You're a man. You're an adult. You're 40. 43.3. 43.5 is the total. But the side, you're getting double digits to the Jets. You're taking those points. I just know you. I think maybe not. I'm wrong.
I'm going to take the under on this one. I don't like the double digits. That's absolutely correct. But the Jets are still the Jets. They still need to win. Mike White's actually looked pretty good. I just think that both of these defenses allow much fewer points than the teams they've been playing against. So I believe that the Bills 28 a game and the Jets 22 a game is going to take a hit here. Both of these teams are only giving up maybe 16 to 18 points a game. Sound about right? It's like mid-30s for a total on the defense's addition. So I liked getting this opening number before it moved. Oh, I guess this is not that game. I still got under 44, which looks like it drifted already.
Yeah, I'm seeing 43.5 right now, but you probably can get 44, maybe pay a little more juice, possibly.
MGM minus 125 as of an hour ago.
That's a lot more to pay for like a 0.5, but I get it.
You're safe to take this to the 43.5. It is a lot to pay for that. I would go with the 43.5 if you can. But yeah. I always like, when I know this number is going to keep dropping, I always like to get the best number, and I'll just reposition later.
Pittsburgh at home versus Baltimore. L-Jax Lamar not expected to play for the Ravens. Therefore, Pittsburgh is a home favorite, 1.5 point favorite. 36.5 is the total in this game. First touchdown wins. Who do you like as far as this game?
Can we skip this game? I feel like the total has just kind of it's too low. I don't want to mess with it. I don't really know what's going to happen with the Ravens offense with Huntley at QB. They scored a touchdown on the Broncos, and he did it in one half. I mean, he did just as good as Lamar. So who knows what's going to happen here?
He had some moments last year, he had some moments.
The Ravens still need to win. This is just the injuries and not knowing exactly how everything's going to fall. I'd rather skip this one unless you have something that you want to highlight.
I don't have a strong take here. It should be a reasonably low-scoring, close game. Like as the line suggests, I don't disagree with it.
Me either. I just feel like it's in front of me a little bit, and I wish I could have got closer to the 38. All right, so we still have a 37. I liked the under. I just thought it was getting low.
Under 37?
Let's put that in. I'll actually make that wager after we're done here, too. Under 37, Bet Rivers. Do we have that anywhere else? No. Why does this book still exist? I don't even think they're functioning.
But Bet Rivers?
No, this Ubo Fubo thing over here.
Bet Rivers is only in 3 states, isn't it? I feel like it's not in a lot of places.
I'm not sure it's in any places anymore. They must have been in the FTX.
Oh, okay. Wasn't aware.
Isn't that what happened to my bookie? I know my bookie shut down, and I heard they had a lot of FTX holdings, and I thought they lost their ass.
I did not know that, but yeah, I didn't know FTX crossed over into the sports betting world. I just figured it was in the NFT stuff, but
sports betting bookies tend to own crypto. Apparently, was what was happening there.
Okay, yeah, there's a Venn diagram. I can see that. The Eagles are at the Giants, another divisional matchup. Philadelphia's got to lay 6.5 on the road in New York. 45.5 is the total. What do you got?
I don't like this game either, dude. Man, so everything screams the Eagles are going to win. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think the Eagles probably do win the game. This is another interdivisional rivalry that always ends up kind of playing out weird. These are games I don't like to attack per se. Let's just find better options elsewhere. The Eagles win. I also think there's a probability that it hits the under. But the under is moving over while people are betting the under. So that makes me feel weird about that right now. So I'll just reevaluate it in a few days.
Surprised that I thought I was looking for the rematch. And no, this is the first time they're facing each other. They're actually going to play each other in week 18 as well. So, surprise. And we'll see if Philadelphia has to play anybody weekend 18. Stay tuned. But as far as, week 14, facing them for the first time, a little surprising there. All right. And if you just want to flat out pass, by all means, this is your show, man. I'm just hosting it. And if you don't want anything on your record, if you just want to, you're just kind of throwing a dart, take a pass. Yeah.
I said how I feel the game plays out. I feel like the Eagles are going to win. I just don't know that they're going to cover a touchdown. And the Giants are smashing the under, which makes you want to take the under. And that also kind of plays into, I don't think the Eagles are going to clear a touchdown. However, all that being said, I don't want to take it. The line's moving the other way from what I'm thinking, which means I'll just come back to it at another point.
It feels like one of those Philly up by 10, Giants ball, 3 minutes to go, and impossible backdoor. That's what I feel.
Who runs the graphics over here at Scores and Odds? Can we get some tiger striping in the Bengals bar here? Twice a season I can't decipher who's who.
We got the Browns at the Bengals. Speaking of Tigers, the Bengals are -5.5 at home versus Cleveland. 46.5 is the total. We saw Watson came back last week. They won. Good for them, but he looked terrible for what it's worth. We're expecting Mixon back for Cincy. I guess that's not terribly surprising, right? The rust was there for Watson. Did not look good, but their defense got, I think, 3 defensive touchdowns, if we're counting the special team touchdowns. So no offensive touchdowns for Cleveland. They didn't need it because Houston is barely playing football these days. They just rolled out all their receivers too. We'll talk about that soon enough. But as far as Cleveland and Cincy, what do you got?
I want the under, and I actually found a 47 on Circa just a little bit ago. So I think there's still a 47 out there at the -110, and that's what I'm putting down as my official play. Oh, I have it noted at -112 at Barstool as well, which is not on here. So if you want to find that 47, it's out there and available. The Bengals are on an incredible under run, 11-5-1 in the last 16. You just mentioned everything that concerns me about Cleveland. You scored 0 offensive touchdowns against Houston. Deshaun came back and did exactly what we thought he was going to do. He was rusty, and that's totally normal. I don't expect that to pick up immediately, and I don't think 1 week is enough to do that. And now you're going up against the Bengals team who has a good defense, and they're still in a position to want to win and driving for the playoffs. There's just no way they're rolling over for you. So I like the Bengals to probably win this game outright. What was that spread?
Cincy -5.5.
I wouldn't be totally against taking a -5.5 either, as I'm kind of talking myself into this, even though the money doesn't seem to agree with me.
You were talking teasers before, but not to cut you off. You're talking teasers. This is kind of the game you tease, right? If you like Cincy to win, just all they got to do is win and find something to pair it with.
So yeah, but you're going to want to wait like another point till it's like -6.5. So then you're getting like the -0.5, and then you're moving the point. So basically, yeah, that's the only reason, because you're wasting some equity right now.
Yeah. Well, what if the line doesn't move? That's one of those. That's a tough spot to get it off of, right? Well,
you got it. You're gonna have to go and ding Big T later, but I'm pretty sure there's a rule that says you never cross 0.
Oh, the Wong teasers. Yeah, this is not my area of specialty, but I've heard people talk about it, and I thought this was. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. You make a good point.
So if it gets to 6, then you can take it to 0, and then you're working yourself out. But otherwise, you're just paying for equity that you're not really gaining.
We got anything else here as far as the Browns and the Bengals? Or we moving on?
Under 47, -110, Circa and Barstool.
The Jags. Jacksonville is in Tennessee, the home of RotoGrinders. 3.5-point favorite Tennessee. They just fired their GM. Over under 41.5. 41.5 here. This is another one of those games that's kind of meh. At least that's my thought. I'm curious to get your that's my analysis. But what do you have as far as Jacksonville at the Titans?
The same bet we've been making pretty much all year, and I don't think it's going to change, and I still don't think it's going to lose. We're going to take an under in Tennessee. Their defense is good. They run an offense that sort of just chews clock and doesn't run a lot of plays. You got the blitz handy right now. What's our expected plays in this game?
I don't have. Give me a second and I'll.
Doesn't matter. I see we still have the under 41.5 on FanDuel, -115. That was my play. We've been just taking Tennessee at home unders pretty much consistently. What's the spread? Spread's at a little bit of a funky zone, so we're in between a couple of numbers right now, and I like the under just as much, so I'm just going to roll on that side.
All right, so expected game plays 127, which is in the red. It's not like the worst, but it's like bottom 6 or 5 as far as expected game plays for this week.
It's hard to beat the Broncos, Dean.
The lowest number is actually Pittsburgh and Baltimore, 123.3. Where is Denver? Well, Denver's playing KC, so KC's going to lift them up.
Yeah. Those aren't the season totals. Those are the expected, and they're probably still only mid-pack or lower.
Do you remember we talked about Dallas, Indianapolis last week as far as being off the charts with expected plays and like talking about the over in that game? Remember that conversation?
We went with the over. It's just we didn't realize Dallas was going to cover +10 on just the over.
They almost went over in the fourth quarter, I think, close to it. No, maybe 33 or something like that. Whatever it was. By the way, this week again, Dallas and Houston is the top expected plays. Both teams playing pretty fast. All right, let's talk about, hey, look at that.
Hey,
Is Texas, the Battle of Texas, the Texans in Dallas. Dallas is a 17.5-point favorite against an alleged professional football team. 44.5 is the total. And just saw this about a half hour ago. Brandon Cooks not expected to play at receiver. Nico Collins not expected to play at receiver. The one we wouldn't normally care, but like that's the two best receivers for Houston. Davis Mills expected back. Good luck, Davis Mills. You have Philip Dorsett, Chris Moore, Amari Rogers, Jordan Akins. Have at it. You got to lay a lot of points if you like Dallas, but like Dallas should theoretically like just Hulk smash.
And that's kind of the problem. Hulk smash. It's too easy, and it's definitely going to happen. I mean, I doubt that Dallas loses this game. Do I want to pay 18 points? No. I mean, and now I don't want an over either because this could be a shutout. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in this game? Dallas is rolling. Texas is rolling it up into the back of the truck, just trying to get into the offseason. This is another game I want to skip. Dallas could come out to a big lead in the first half, not play anybody in the second half. Houston could not even score even with everybody. Who knows?
So what's the official take there? Just that? Nothing? Is that a full pass? Yeah.
I mean, do you have something you want to do in this game? I would look for player
props
I
wouldn't
and stuff later, but for the same reasons, I don't really want to do that. One team is so much better than the other team, and I can't trust that the motivation can stay long enough for us to get snaps.
Dallas is favored by well more than the Houston team total is. They're 17.5-point favorites, and the team total for Houston is 13.5, which is that is something, man. That's pretty wild. It's rock bottom there in Houston.
We're not here to lose money in week 14, and this is one of those games that's going to do it.
What about this one? Can we win some money against the Denver Broncos? Your Denver Broncos.
Flex.
Well, just acknowledging the game is happening. The Kansas City
We will.
Are in Denver. We have a 9.5-point favorite there, KC in Denver. And Denver's defense is good. And I understand why the defensive players are probably angry at Rust. I understand why they would want to yell at him for their offense being so incompetent. Sutton not expected to play for Denver this week. It's a big number. Like Denver historically getting almost 10 points at home. Like you just never really see that. You know, a tough place to play there. Mile High. Kansas City, obviously one of the better teams in the league. 43.5 is the total. But all that said, it sounds like you're just giving it the old nah wave.
No. We've been successful. Who says the quote of like sometimes not making a wager is a winning wager? This is literally just stop betting on the Broncos. Pack it in for the year and just come back later. It's just not worth it.
That sounds like a quote from John Anthony, that Matthew McConaughey flick.
We'll take it. I don't know if it's like actually real. It feels like it should be correct though.
Do you know what movie I'm talking about or no? Because you've probably seen it. Oh, if you like sports gambling, you got to see this movie for real.
We're going to hit the movie list at the end because this is where I'm going to lose my wagers and have to win them back in football bets.
Yeah, we'll talk about it off air in a second. But yeah, I seriously, Venn diagram. People who like to sports gamble will love this movie. All right, let's talk about the Panthers and the Seahawks. This is another fun one. Seattle is now a 4-point favorite at home, which kind of seems, I don't know, man. Is that a little disrespectful? They're almost saying they're the same as Carolina, sort of. And historically, a tough place to play there in Seattle with the 12th man. Just a 4-point favorite, 44.5 is the total. You know, a lot of people have questioned Geno in Seattle the entire season. I feel like they've earned enough respect to be a bigger favorite than, I mean, Carolina stinks. What are we doing here? Well, that number's wrong. I like Seattle, which is famous last words.
I think I'm with you there. I like the over, but I also lean Seattle, and I was wondering the same thing. This is kind of like the Detroit-Minnesota game, which I thought was a little bit backwards too. So I'm going to take the over, 100%, it's 44 minus 107, I see. That was what I had listed already. And I'm going to add Seattle because I agree with you. Let's take Seattle minus might as well just take the 4.
All right.
Hold on. 3 cents to win instead of push, I'll take that. If I can get it in on Bet Rivers, I'll take that one.
We shall, as you click on that, I'm going to see what else. I'm going to queue up the next game at least. Anything else to say as far as analysis-wise, Seattle and Carolina, or ready?
Why is Carolina getting so much respect on the road? Just did Sam Darnold perform that well? I guess I didn't really pay attention to Carolina last week.
I mean, if he did, what? Do you think that's repeatable?
I mean, does it matter? No, they're on the road in Seattle. No, I just don't understand. Seattle's the better team. Oh, Kenneth Walker's questionable.
Yeah, he's probably not going to. We'll see.
Pete Carroll has proven that it doesn't matter who the chess pieces are. They're just chess pieces.
Running backs don't. I mean, Walker is a solid running back, and then the guys behind him are not spectacular. They're more like receiving backs, and like DJ Dallas and Travis Homer. Tony Jones is not very good. But yeah, I just.
You still got Geno, Lockett, DK. No, I like Seattle. I like the over. They're just, I don't. The only way I could understand some of this is like if the Panthers, is their team total like 9.5, 10.5? I mean, are they not supposed to score?
Their team total is 20.25.
Yeah, so none of this makes sense. I'm in.
I feel like this should be a 6. I think the line should be 6 and not 4. That's where I'm at. Okay.
I like that. I always feel like the 4 is safe for when a team is down by a field goal and they score a touchdown late. Just the whole game theory and scenario kind of action.
The Buccaneers, who pulled another one out last time, Monday night, Brady, they really are terrible. This is wild. Like I had this thought earlier in the week. So the Bucs are getting 3.5 points in San Francisco. 37.5 is the total. Brock Purdy, who you've never heard of until like 6 days ago, is a 3-point favorite against Tom Brady, which is just wild. And it's probably correct. I think it's correct. It's correct, right? I think. Or no, it's not. It's not correct. Tampa's winning this game? Wait, so it's disrespectful to Purdy? Is that what you're saying?
It's going to be a margin game, just like every other Bucs game. I mean, these games are bad. They are not fun to watch. These defenses are good enough, and these offenses, I don't know what to expect out of Purdy. Do you?
No.
I'm assuming a reduction in offensive production. Are we just going to have Deebo run a 70-yard end around again? I mean, if that doesn't happen, I assume that you're going to score fewer points.
Yeah, I would like the under, but it's 37.5. But at the same time, it's like I can see this game being, 7-3 middle of the third quarter.
So I'm on the under. You can grab a 38 on WinBet, I thought. Yeah, right here.
All right.
So WinBet has a 38. Let's go ahead and jump on the 38 now. The Bucs score like 15 or 16 points a game. They only give up 15 or 16 points a game. We see this week after week. San Francisco is also going to rely on their defense. They're probably just going to run the ball more. I'd expect less explosive plays, less deep passes downfield from Purdy, but maybe, I didn't study Purdy that much. I only saw him a little bit while he was in the game last week. But at the same time, I don't think this would be a game to try and open him up. This is going to be a game where you don't want to make mistakes. So I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be close. And I don't like spreads more than 3 in games like this.
Yeah, it's not a great one. And I wouldn't think they would overwhelm him either. And like there's plenty of pieces around. Like in Garoppolo, you make the argument he was lifted by his teammates, and I think that's what's going to happen here with Purdy as well. And not a ton of pedigree on him. I think he was a 4-year quarterback. I want to say is out of Iowa State. I heard some, but like the best thing about him is his nickname, which is Nick Foles esque. I don't know if you've heard his nickname, but feel free to do the Google. But,
I'm dying to know what it is now. I'm trying to rhyme things in my head.
Well, his name was Brock. You can get there, I think. I trust.
That was easy. That was
easy. Yeah, it's not. There you go. All right. I don't know if that moves the needle or not, as far as the line, I should say. All right. Let's seamlessly segue and talk about the Dolphins and the Chargers. The Chargers, who play the closest games every single week. They're getting 3.5 points home versus Miami. 51.5 is the total. I believe this game was flexed into Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken. And also Miami, my understanding is they stayed there the entire week. I don't know how that changes things or not, but I think that was a Belichick thing. Like whenever they played San Fran last week, and then instead of flying back and forth, Miami to to California a couple times. The Dolphins have been chilling all week out west. What are our thoughts as far as the Dolphins and the Chargers?
This is another game where I actually think I'm not sure how that benefits them staying out there. I was also thinking about the travel, but I honestly think choice A and choice B were both bad. I think it's just you have to deal with it. You fly home, you fly back. It is what it is. Do you think you really gain anything by staying there? I think that's just as much out of your routine as it is from the norm anyway. Do you think that really helps them?
It's a different routine. Yeah, like it's like anytime teams are throwing out of the routine. We saw the Bills, though. Their routine was like thrown all over the place a couple weeks ago, and they weren't spectacular, but they got the W's, right? I don't think they lost. They barely beat Detroit, but they were traveling back and forth to Detroit, and then playing games on Thursday, back-to-back Thursdays, I believe. Different team. And who really knows? That's one sample size. Who knows how Miami's going to adapt? I hear it's nice out there in this time of year, as opposed. Well, it's nice in Miami too this time of year, but a little less humid in California for sure.
Definitely.
But it's a business trip, right? Is that what they say? Business trip? I'm sure they're in their hotel and locked. The doors are locked at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah, they have rules. Curfew is a thing. I mean, so all that being said, like that would say that we're leaning Chargers. I'm all right with taking the Chargers while this number hangs at 3.5, but I really don't have a play. I would lean an over too, but I feel like the numbers are already up in the low 50s.
I like the hook. 3. I don't know. Give me the hook. I'm in.
You want to take the 3.5 Chargers? I'll jump in bet on that one. I don't have a play written down, but as we talk through the game, I would take the Chargers plus 3.5.
I don't want to manipulate your official record, but that will be if you're gonna.
I'm adding it. Chargers plus 3.5.
Well, I will victory lap it if it hits next week, and if it didn't,
you'd have all the credit in the world, and I'll take all the blame if it loses. That's the best seat to be in, Dean.
I learned that from Matthew McConaughey from Two for the Money. The Monday night game is the Patriots and the Cardinals. The Patriots in Arizona are laying a point and a half. 43.5 is the total. Another game. I feel like we have very few dome games this week. There's a couple back-to-back Chargers, and now the Cardinals. It's a really low total for a dome game. I'll say that, but it's also like the Patriots and good defense. They're going to control the ball. They're going to run it. They're going to kill the clock. Where are we at as far as New England, Arizona?
I like New England -1. I'd still take the -1.5. I'd still take the -2. I think New England wins this game. Arizona is 1-11 straight up at home. They are 5-0-1 to the over, thanks to the dome. Some of the dome. Let's see. New England's 3-1-1 ATS on the road. They still need to win. They're not going to pack this in. The Cardinals season is almost over. Who's starting at QB? They still going to start Kyler just to get a little extra practice?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't know if there's a Call of Duty, if that's been a new release or something like that. But as far as I know, he's good to go this week. Who was calling him out? One of his former players was saying he's all out.
Peterson. Patrick.
That's who it was. Yeah, there you go. That was an interesting little conversation on the old Twitter. Yeah, man. I just expected more. I think Arizona's been one of the bigger disappointments this season. They're not like Denver level disappointment, but feels like they've been a disappointment. The absence of Hopkins coming to the year obviously hurt them too. Some injuries.
Do you want to talk me into this over under at all? What's the projected plays out of the blitz on this one for the dome game here?
It's actually a pretty reasonable number, 132.5, which is like sixth highest on the board. They're both kind of neutral as far as their pace. But I just playing the dome, 43.5. If you're going to force me to choose, I would take the over in this game.
Yeah, I mean, if it hits 43, I think I'm definitely hitting it. And I would lean just nailing the 43. I prefer the Patriots right now, -1.5, -2 before I'm going to start moving on the over under. But if it comes down to 42.5 to 43, I'll start thinking about it.
That is the slate. That is all the games this week. 6 teams on bye. I believe buys are done next week, so this show is going to be a few minutes longer. We'll do our best to condense it down. You don't love
flex more people.
You didn't. You want to flex a lot of games this week. Tell me the ones. Emphasize your favorite better two as far as the board this week.
Man, so we are starting to get tight at the end of the season here. I do like Minnesota over Detroit, which is probably going to come back to bite me, but I like that one. Well, that was our teaser. That was our teaser. So the plus 7.5 over 46.5. It is a teaser, but that is one of my favorite bets so far this week.
Just for fun and for the sake of the show and for content, I will take the Lions minus. I'll lay the 1.5. And we were talking about this pre-show. If you want to bet American dollars, we can do that. Turkish lira. I don't know what you have on hand, or we can just do like a movie bet. And if I could not believe you've never seen Boogie Nights, and now I can't believe you've never seen Two for the Money. So the winner will force the other person to watch a movie, and there you go. And again, this is not a punishment; those are fabulous movies.
So it's a win-win situation.
There you go. I don't know, but I'm happy to pick Detroit, and however you want to do it. But yeah,
I like that. We'll do a straight up bet on that. I'll take Minnesota on the road. I like that. So no points involved. We're just taking money line for the movie.
Oh no! I'll give you the points. I'm not a jerk. Yeah, I'll give you the 1.5 just in case. Care. I'm not gonna be that guy.
It's like 1 or 2 points. It's basically money line in my.
We live in a society though. What if Detroit wins by 1? And you're gonna be like, you're gonna hold that against me forever.
That's fair. I also like Jacksonville, Tennessee. The under 41.5 as another favorite. And my third one is going to be Cleveland, Cincinnati, under 47. So a lot of unders this week. They're not fun to bet, but it is what it is.
Tell the people where they can find you, the socials, where they can find your additional contents. Where do I get more Ryan Reed, more Dude Man Pa?
Well, you can find Dude Man Pa pretty much everywhere. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Write articles for Scores and Odds. You can find all of my action on there. And I post some random stuff on Insta and Twitter once in a while if I don't have time to get an article in, or we're inside the hour, or it's just an obscure parlay that we don't really need to try and spend 45 minutes entering through the spreadsheet. We'll just post the screenshot on Twitter and you guys can have fun tailing it.
When you say random stuff, like, can I see your dinner on Instagram? What am I seeing on Instagram besides there's random football stuff?
Mostly going to be like SGPs, utilizing boosts or free bets on different websites.
Gotcha. All right. I'll just have to use my imagination for your dinner.
You want me to start posting dinner pictures? I can do that too.
Not enough people do that. There's a hole in the market, I believe. That is Ryan Reed, Dude Man Pa. I'm Dean at DFS_Almanac. That was Behind the Lines, Week 14, presented by Scores and Odds on behalf of RotoGrinders. We appreciate y'all watching. Win something this week. We'll be back for Week 15. Thanks for watching. We're out of here. Holler!